And the Shia idea is that that in the first place, that Muhammad appointed Ali ibn Abi Talib, who was his son-in-law, to be his successor. And the Sunnis say, no, he didn't. And that the leader of the Muslim community has to be a descendant of Ali ibn Abi Talib. So, there were 12 of those, and they were known as the Imams. In Sunni Islam, the Imam is like your local parish priest or rabbi or whatever. But in Shiite Islam, the Imam is the infallible guide of the community and the successor of Ali and Muhammad. And so the successor of Ali and Muhammad, most of them were killed by the Sunnis. And then in the year 869, this 5-year-old kid became the Imam, because it was a hereditary thing. You have to be in Ali's household. So in 874, he disappeared. He was probably murdered by the Sunnis, but nobody knows. He vanished. And the Shiite idea is that he's still alive. He could be here. And he's hiding until the day when the Muslims are persecuted more fiercely than they have ever been persecuted before. And then he will reappear. And this is something that is fervently believed by the hierarchy of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Now, what if you have this idea? And when he, by the way, when he comes back, he's going to save everything. He's the savior figure. The 12th Imam, the hidden Imam, he's going to, just wait, you know. When he gets here, you're all going to get it. And then the world will be at peace, because everybody will be dead or Shiite. So, they're waiting for this consummation of all things that's going to come from this 5-year-old who's going to come back and lay waste and establish the victory of the Shiites. But he's only going to come back when you are in a persecution that is more severe than you have ever endured before, you the Muslims. So, what could that be? A nuclear strike. What if, for example, the Islamic Republic of Iran sends nukes to Israel and Israel retaliates? The president of Iran from 1989 to 97, Ali Akbar Hashemi Rafsanjani, he said, application of a nuclear bomb would not leave anything in Israel, but the same thing would just produce damages in the Muslim world. In other words, we can take this. We don't care. How could he say that he wouldn't mind? It would just produce damage. Damage, he's talking about 10 to 15 million people dead in Iran. How could he say, oh, that's okay, we could endure that, because that would bring the kid back. The 12th Imam would return because the Muslims are so persecuted. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, the former president of another former president of Iran, used to go to this well where the hidden Imam was hiding, and he would talk to him. And I say that to tell you how seriously this is all taken. It may sound crazy, but this is believed very fervently by the people who are in charge in Iran.
Tying all of that together, you got the 11th Imam, Hassan. So you got the 11th Imam. Yes. He dies. Shias are in a panic. What do we do? It's supposed to go from father to son. This guy doesn't have a son. And then someone steps up and says, actually, he did have a son. It's been a big secret, but he's got a 5-year-old son who's hidden. But yeah, I'm his deputy. I'm his deputy. So yeah, just give the money to me.
Yep.
Just give the money to me. The money that you would give to the Imam. So give 20%. Give that to me. I'll make sure that whatever he wants done with that money, that's what gets done. So at this period, it's just he's supposedly being hidden somehow, and there's his official deputy, this mediator that you go to, and this mediator's collecting the money. And then this mediator passes on his mediator role to another guy, then to another guy, then to the fourth guy. But the fourth guy, before he dies, and these guys are getting letters. These guys are coming
Yeah.
out with letters from the 12th Imam,
Yes.
Imam. And so they're coming out and saying, hey, you guys, so if you had a question for the 12th Imam that you've never seen before, you go to his deputy and say, hey, I got this issue. What are we going to do about this? And then this guy would disappear. This deputy would disappear for a little while. Then he comes back and he says, hey, I got the letter right now. I got the letter from him. And here's his response. And they would read these letters. And then the fourth of these deputies, he finds out, he gets a letter saying that after his death, then there are no more deputies. He doesn't have an official representative. He's not going to have an official representative anymore. And they call that first period with the deputies, with the four deputies, they call that the
minor
period of
occultation.
The minor occultation, and then the after that, where he's hidden even more. So now you're not even getting letters from him, but he can appear, I guess, in visions or things like that to people, and occasionally do things like that. This is the period of major occultation. And so they're still in that period, but the idea is there is still an imam out there for he's been there for over 1,000 years, and there's this imam, and he's behind the scenes somewhere.
So the first period where we had those four representatives, one after the other, was almost 67 years, and the majority of time we had no one to tell us, even like to communicate with him. So we just believe, the 12ers believe he is there, but we don't know how to get in touch with him, or to communicate with him, or know exactly what he wants us to do. It just, we believe he's around. And why they have this belief? Because they cannot think of a time where we don't have an imam. Especially as you mentioned that Al-Hasan al-Askari, his dad, he died without having a son. So if the 12ers say that he died without a son, then who is the imam then? Then the whole idea will collapse. Actually, his brother claimed, when Hassan al-Askari claimed that he is the imam, his brother, when he died, his brother claimed he's the imam, and we had the Ja'faris, but the Ja'faris, they stopped to exist. And that's why we still have the 12ers. Otherwise, it could have been another story. So anyway, now we have the 12ers. They believe the Mahdi exists. They believe he had minor occultation. And then after that, the major occultation. We still live in the major occultation. We don't know when it's going to end. We just know that we are preparing the way, or Iran actually, where the majority of the 12ers exist, they are preparing the way of his reappearance, where he's going to appear to people and he's going to say, I am the Mahdi. Nobody saw his picture, actually. Nobody knows how he looks like. Anybody can claim he's the Mahdi. And that's why we had many Mahdis through history who would claim they are the Mahdi. And how are you going to tell? How are you going to differentiate? We'll be like, oh yeah, I have seen your picture. You are the Mahdi.
Yeah, so we will probably... Well, no, I'm not even going to say probably. We will be seeing more Mahdis and people coming up and saying, "Hey, that's me. I've been hiding all this time," and something like that. So you pointed out that he's born in Samarra, Iraq, where they have their Shia Islamic holy site. So I think the 10th and 11th imams are buried there, and I think it was the 11th imam's house, in the basement there's a well, and supposedly that was the last place the little 12th imam was seen. And so do they have any ideas on like where is he? They believe he's actually like just hiding somewhere, or
nobody knows. And when you try to debate any Shia Muslim, you say, where does he live? They will be comparing him to Al-Khadr in Islam, because in Islam people believe Al-Khadr, this guy with Moses, and he's around, he's just going around. So they will say the same thing. He's just around like Al-Khadr. So if you are a Sunni and you object, you say, where is he? We don't see him. He will be like, well, then where is Al-Khadr? So if you can answer that, then you can answer where is the Mahdi. But
And
they
they
believe
actually,
the Mahdi.
oh, I just want to point,
Yeah.
and they actually, the 12er Shias actually use that comparison between Moses and Khadr, in that one is like known, he's like a known visible prophet, and the other guy's this mysterious figure who's behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And Moses doesn't even know what this dude is doing, and doesn't even understand this guy's knowledge and so on. But this guy's behind the scenes, and he's like secret. So they make that comparison. Like, yes, you had the known visible guys, and then you've got these other class of guys, and they're like behind the scenes.
Yeah. So it's the same thing. They believe he's around. He's just going around from one place to another. He doesn't need visas or passports, so he's like kind of invisible in the same time, because you can see him, you can talk to him. Like Khamenei, for example, he met him, they believe, and he talked to him and he got advice from him, but at the same time, not everybody will recognize him.
I did too. Yeah, he came to me the other day and he said, "Man, I'm really disappointed in the way things are going in Islam. So David, could you talk to Brother Rachid and Apostate Prophet and all these guys and just destroy this religion?"
I'm tired of this. I just want to have a peaceful time. Probably say that I'm tired. I don't want to wait all this time. So anyway, it's not like Jesus, where Christians will believe he ascended to heaven. He went. He's in another dimension, sort of. They believe no. He's the Mahdi is on earth. He lives among us. He goes to Mecca, he goes to Medina, and he meets people, and he has a place, but you cannot see him.
Powerful stuff. All right, so how does all of this connect to what's going on in Iran now?
Yeah, well, I mean, you have the Mahdi. He is coming back. He is a Shia. And he is the leader of the true believers. He is the true Imam, not all these presidents, not all these kings. They are just taking, and by the way, I have to say this before I make the connection. The Shia 12ers, they believe that the whole earth belongs to the Imam, to the Mahdi. He gives whatever he wants to whomever he wants. It belongs to him. All the money that exists, all the wealth that exists, everything on earth belongs to him. So these nations are just taking something that doesn't belong to them. And they are just ruling, and the rule, actually, authority belongs to him. Everything belongs to him. So they're just abusers, and they are temporarily there. When he comes, he's going to just crush all of them, take the ones that resist his rule, he will slaughter them, and he will be the only, let's say, king, the only imam who is there. So Iran believes this. You have Israel as a powerful nation in the Middle East. You have the United States is the most powerful army on earth right now, the most powerful country on earth. And imagine you are a Muslim, you believe the Mahdi is the most powerful person, and you are the group that should rule, and you are the group that, worthy of leading the nation, but in the same time, reality contradicts your beliefs. What are you going to do? This cognitive dissonance, it makes you come up with a solution. The solution is it's going to happen soon We're going to crush America. We're going to crush Israel. We're going to crush all these nations. And the Mahdi is going to come. He's going to rule. And we are going to take revenge even from the ones that did hurt us through history. Even the Sunnis. We had one of the questions I think you mentioned. And the Sunnis, we will crush them because they are the descendants of Abu Bakr. They are the descendants of Ali. They are the descendants of Muawiyah, the guys who were resisting or persecuting and killing the family of Muhammad. We are going to take revenge. We are going to do to them a lot of harm that they did to our ancestors. So this is like a summary of how the 12ers look at things. So when you see, for example, Israel is in an Islamic land, they believe that Israel is taking over an Islamic land. The holy sites are there. And Saudi Arabia, a Sunni state, taking over the shrine, the most holy shrine in the Muslim world, Mecca, and they have the grave of the grandfather of the Mahdi. He is there. So they have this idea that one day they will crush even Saudi Arabia. They will take over those holy sites. Let me point out one funny, probably detail. Who is the mom of the Mahdi? Who is his mom? His mom is a Christian slave. Some say Sosan, some say Nerjis. Most of the sources, they say Nerjis. She was bought, they believe, she was bought by Al-Hasan al-Askari, the 11th Imam. And that's the mom of the Mahdi. I just make a joke that the mom of the Mahdi is a Christian one. The Mahdi probably will be an apostate.
Hey, hey, we should do a skit one day where the 12th Imam converts to Christianity. He's like, you know what, Mom was right.
Yes,
my mom was right.
Some sources they say she converted to Islam. Some sources don't. So we don't know. And of course, we don't believe he ever existed. We just, if we follow the Shia sources, even with what they are saying, we still have questions. Why the mom of the Mahdi is a Christian slave? And why she is from another, she's not Arab, she's Greek, they believe. She was taken, and the irony, you believe she was taken by Muslims, she was taken as a slave girl, she was sold in a market, the 11th Imam bought her, and then he had sex with her, and then from that relationship, they had the Mahdi. What an irony is that? And this guy is the savior of the world. And he's going to rule with the same Sharia that enslaved this girl and that brought a girl from another nation to his dad to use her as a sex slave. Well, I mean, the whole thing just contradicts each other.
Yeah, and you actually, you're, of course, questioning whether this guy ever existed at all. So you have multiple beliefs. One, you had that he's a person and that he's still alive somewhere and that he's going to come back as the Mahdi. So again, tying together things we've been saying, it's very common among Muslims to believe in the Mahdi, this guy who's going to come and set things right. And lots of Muslims believe, this is when Jesus is going to appear and he's going to help the Mahdi, and they're going to tag team, conquering the world and so on. So very common among Muslims to believe in the Mahdi. 12er Shias believe they know who he is. And it's based on the idea that the 11th Imam dies, and then someone comes up and says, "Oh, you guys are all panicking because you think he didn't have a son. Actually, he does have a son. He's hiding. We've got him hidden. Yeah. We've got this guy hidden." And they draw all these comparisons. So during his early life, when he's in danger, they compare him to Moses. Like Moses was, the Egyptians wanted to kill Moses and so on. So they compare him to that. With him talking, even when he's a little tiny guy, they compare him to Jesus in the Quran. So they draw all these comparisons. And you're pointing out apart from someone coming out and saying, yeah, he did have a son. We have no reason to think this guy even existed at all, period.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because I mean, look at, with all the evidence we have for Jesus, still people think he's not a historical figure. Still people are doubting that. So imagine with this guy, you have no historical source apart from the Shia imams who are just basing it on faith, to tell you there was a guy whose name was Muhammad, and his dad was Al-Hassan, and his mom was Narjis, and he existed, he was in this city, and he did so and so. Imagine you are talking about a 5-year-old baby, and like you have nobody except those deputies who are saying we see him, or one after the other, not all of them at the same time. So you have only one person actually at a time saying, I see him, I talk to him, and you have to trust me. So the whole thing collapses when you know that this mediator is benefiting from that idea. Actually, is not just there is a reasonable doubt that these guys benefited financially. They benefited from all, like, also authority. Whatever they say to the Shia, they do it because it's coming from the Mahdi. So they have authority, they have money, they have wealth, they have everything through inventing an idea that a Mahdi exists and he's hiding somewhere. You know, until today, the Shia imams, the guys with their turbans around them, there are different colors for each one of them. The ones who are descendants from the family of Muhammad, they get 20% until today. 20% from the income of people, ordinary people who follow them. And I had a chance to meet with some of them. Some of them actually live in the US and in the West. They are very wealthy. And when I ask, they don't work anything. They don't have any job. And they are very wealthy. When I say very wealthy, they have houses that are worth millions of dollars. Where their money comes from is from 20% of income coming from Shia 12ers who believe that the family of Muhammad is worthy of paying them, giving them money just because they are descendants of the Prophet.
Well, that's a good deal. So you pointed out that there are people.
You probably should claim you are a descendant of Muhammad.
No, I'm just gonna. He lives with me. He's been in hiding. He lives with me. Hang on, one second. What's that? What's that? Okay, I just talked to him. You 12er Shias out there, he wants you to send your money to me. He says you could send it in the form of super chats, and that's what he wants you to do. And he says, oh, by the way, all you 12er Shias who are watching, he says if you don't send me all your money, 20% to be clear, we're not greedy, that you're all going to hell. So you definitely want to get that covered. But you pointed out that in spite of Jesus being a public figure and being publicly executed, and the fact that we have that he started an entire community of followers who went to their deaths proclaiming his death and resurrection, and in spite of the fact that we have not only sources from the Bible, but you have Christian sources outside the Bible. You have the second generation. So you have people who knew the apostles and were their followers so they talked to the people who knew him. And in spite of Jesus having family members and so on, in spite of us having Christian sources, Jewish sources, and Roman sources talking about him, you'll still have people who are skeptical enough to say, actually, I think all that stuff is just made up and everyone got it wrong. He's just a made up figure. Whereas when we're talking about the 12th Imam, it's just, oh, everyone's in a state of panic because they don't know what to do because the last Imam died. Guess what, guys? we know where we know where he is.
Surprise.
We've got him hidden. Just give us the money that you were given to the 11th Imam. And Shias are supposed to not be skeptical of this at all. Notice this would be like a king. This would be like a king, and like the kingdom is supposed to pass from one king to his son and so on. And just imagine there's a new king. He dies. He has no descendants. Everyone's, oh no, who's going to be the next leader? And then some advisor comes up and says, actually, he did have a son. It's been a big secret. Hush, hush. We're not going to show him to anyone. He's hiding, and he's going to stay hidden. But make sure you give us all the money, and we'll rule for him in his place. And then it's actually interesting that you have the 4 guys who are receiving letters from him, who you can ask them questions, and then they'll come back with a letter from him. So they're receiving these letters from the 12th Imam who's hiding, and then all of a sudden, when the 4th one is dying, there's no one there's not going to be a successor after him who's receiving these letters and communicating directly with him. But I mean, notice how suspicious that looks. Like it was a collaboration among guys, and hey guys, this is how we do it. We write these fake letters and so on. Then we bring them out. We say, hey, look, we got a letter. But after, they choose not to continue the conspiracy, because you do have to get the next. If you wanted a 5th deputy, you would have to get someone and say, hey, look, here's how it works. We collect the money, and we just every once in a while we come out with a letter, and here's how we do the letter and stuff like that. But you'd have to let someone in on this, the fact that it's a big scam. And so it looks like they just want to, okay, guys, there's no more people involved in the scam. And so we just have to receive the last letter and say this, it's been cut off right now. But you're right. This looks extremely, extremely fake. And how does anyone take this seriously?